be talking like the usual folk you would expect, what the things that you'd expect people to normally say. I'm just going to be as honest and as raw as possible when it comes to scaling your design. And I think it's also particularly I'm going to be streamlining this talk particularly for designers in this part of the world, that's specifically Nigeria, all right, and the realities that go through, right? So, so first and foremost, what is design to you? And I think this is a question that really matters because we're going to be looking into scaling your design career. And because for so many people, design is not a career, right? For some people, design is just a side gig, you know, for quick cash. And for some people, they really don't know when it comes to what design is. It's just, well, I'm doing something right now. I don't really know what it's about. I'm just hoping that it works out. And I won't say that if you fall in either of these categories, it's totally fine, right? It's okay if you don't know what it is you're using this design for yet. And it's okay if you decide gig for quick cash, that's totally fine, right? But you're really going to be able to benefit from what I am from what I'm talking about if you consider design a career. And so the next thing will be, you know, what then is a career? Because that's really what we're talking about. And I have two things here. First, it's an occupation undertaken for a significant period of a person's life and with opportunities for progress. The second is the person's progress or general course of action through life, through a phase of life, as in some professional undertaking. And I don't want to go into all the grammar you have here, but the two primary things you will see definitely about career is that it involves time and it involves progress. And I think those are the first two things I really want to emphasize, because a lot of times when you talk to people who you know are getting into tech, you know, and stuff, a lot of times when you talk to them, you can see that you know, there's this drive to want to make money, you know, which is good, which is totally okay, by the way, I must add, right? But if you're coming into tech or design thinking that you want to begin to earn in dollars in the next, say, 6 months or 1 year, you're lying to yourself. You're genuinely lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself because number one is, sadly, the honest reality of where we are in is that it's not the easiest thing as a Nigerian to get a foreign job. That's the honest truth. It's just, I mean, from having about, say, 3 years experience exclusively applying for foreign jobs, I can tell you that it's not an easy thing to get a foreign job in Nigeria. Do you understand me? So it's gonna take time. It's going to take time, and that's something you need to know. It's going to take time, and it's going to take you time to build up yourself. It's going to take you time to understand what the market really wants, understand the kind of rules to apply for, the kind of rules not to apply for, the kind of companies that are even worth taking a chance on, the kind of companies don't worth taking a chance on. Do you understand me? So the first and foremost thing is time. And I think if there's anything I'm going to tell to anybody who is trying to come into tech right now, what I'm just going to advise you is this: calm down and enjoy the process. All right, just calm down. Take your time, learn as much as you need to. Don't try to rush. Don't give yourself this ultimatum where you say, if as a 1 year I never start to earn in dollars, I'm leaving this place. You most likely will leave. That's the honest truth. You most likely are going to leave. So take time. And then the second thing is progress. I'm sure that when you hear me say progress, probably what comes to your mind is progress in terms of maybe how much your salary is increasing, and progress in terms of how much of maybe a promotion you are getting or getting a better job. But really, in progress in the context of what I'm talking about here is more intrinsic than extrinsic. And by that, I mean progress here is more about you and not about things outside you. So if you view design as a career, or whatever tech thing it is that you're doing as a career, right, you must also be concerned about your career progress as a person. And what that means is you must always ensure that you are growing at different phases of your career. Here's something that you're going to realize on the long run. You're going to realize that most of the time, your salary catches up with you. The way people think it works is, I try to get a better job. I get a better job. Do you understand? And then when I get a better job, then I'm able to begin to work on bigger stuff. When in reality, it is I upskill and I get better. The role I'm currently in no longer suits the kind of skills I have because I'm better. Then I apply for a job that I can then begin to use skills that I upskill that, something like that, right? And that's something really you need to understand, that at the end of the day, if you focus on your skills and try to get better at what you do, your salary will catch up with you. Do you understand? Those jobs you want will catch up with you. Do you understand me? But if you think it's a matter of progress is more about what other people do for you than what you first do for yourself, then you've gotten it all wrong. All right. And I'm going to probably talk a lot more about that. So let's just get right to it. So as regards tips, I have a couple of tips here that I believe can help you scale your design career. right? I don't think I have everything listed here. If there's anything that comes to my mind as well, I'm going to also talk about it. I'm going to be doing a little bit of sharing about my experience as well in all of these things. So do well to pay attention. And I think after we are done, there'll probably be some time for questions and answers. So you can also as well ask me some questions and I'll help you with answers to the best of my ability. So the first thing, understand your current reality and accept it. It's okay to start small. And I cannot emphasize this enough. See, there is a positive and a negative side to the affordance that social media has us, right? So, for example, you are on Twitter, for example, you have, for example, designers who are designing in New York, you have folks who are designing in Germany, you have folks who are designing in India, you have folks who are designing in Kenya, you have folks who are designing in Lagos and stuff like that. And a lot of times we can oftentimes look at what people say outside the context of their current reality. So, for example, you are chatting with someone who say he works in New York. Just experience in design. You need to understand that person wants to get experience in design. For a newbie, a starting salary for someone like that, you know, in New York, for example, it's probably going to be around 30 or 50K. Now, a Nigerian earning 30 or 50K is a boy. That's the truth. A lot of bank managers are definitely not earning that much. But you need to understand that for someone in New York, that's a starting salary. And in fact, relative to the person's standard of living, that's quite low. It's really low. By the time we remove tax, we remove rent per month, you know, etc., etc. I can see that someone is raising their hand. It's a question. Just Elizabeth, is that okay?
Hello, can you hear me, Joe?
Yeah.
All right. If there's a question, they can just put in the chat box.
All right then. So
we can take it at the end.
So I was saying, right? So the realities differ. Do you get me? And so what that means pretty much is you accept it. This is I am. Yeah, in Nigeria, first of all, it's not out here. Two is an entry level job, at least easily, that will pay you in dollars. Accept it. Do you understand? Your first job might be 40K. Your first job might be 60K. In fact, I always say, talk to most tech bros that you know, the guys that are living large and stuff like that. They will tell when they tell you the experience on their first tech jobs, it's humbling, and I mean very humbling. And also keep in mind that at this particular point in time, when you love them, like say for example, 5 years ago, when I came into the design space, tech in Nigeria is not where it is right now. Do you understand me? And so while of course it means that we didn't have as many startups, we also didn't have as many folks that were beginners. In those days, 5 years ago, product design was you're just beginning to hear about product design. It wasn't a big deal. Do you understand me? Compared to now when you have a lot of people rushing in. So by just what, in terms of metrics and numbers, you have a lot more competitors as beginners than ever before. So you need to understand that the same role that probably 5 people have been fighting for some 5 years, probably about 50 people are fighting for it. Just accept it. Do you understand? Once you accept it, it becomes easier to deal with it. It's much tougher now than it has ever been before, honestly, to get an entry-level job, an entry-level job in Nigeria. And that's the best thing you can do for yourself. What is that I probably have to do extra. I have to do extra. First of all, is for a design space or for a tech space in Nigeria that is getting as saturated as it is, entry level though, because in honest reality, as you begin to scale up, the reality of it is you have a lot of entry level folks, but the honest truth is we don't even have a lot of we don't have enough mid level folks or even senior folks. We don't have. That's the truth. All right. So while of course it's crowded at the bottom, as you begin to climb up and up the career ladder, then you see a lot more opportunities than before, and that's just the honest truth. And so what that means for you is it means you probably have to do extra to start. To get in, that's the toughest part. Getting is the toughest part. So you probably have to do a lot more work than usual, than probably somebody 5 years ago would have had to do to get into an entry level job, or 3 years ago would have had to do, right? Then also, when it comes to even getting jobs in the foreign space, the honest truth is you probably are going to do times 4 of what your foreign colleagues are doing. Let me tell you a very interesting metric. I mentor at Design Lab, all right, which is an international design agency for training junior designers. And here's something you realize: even for folks I mentor, some of them have entry-level jobs that pay better than even their. And so it's not the honest reality, because I'm over here in Nigeria. Do you get me? And so you probably is going to take, there's already the bias. First of all, there's the bias against, not so many companies are open to remote work. That's number one. Number two is that those who are open to remote work usually have a bias against African countries, all right, because of certain reputation, and then particularly against Nigeria, because we don't exactly have the best online reputation either when it comes to fraud and stuff like that. You have to know check his blood money, but it's your blood. And that's the honest truth. All right. So accept it. Your first job might be 50K, your first job might be 60K. Take it and move on from there. All right. See it as the way I always see it that helps me is I believe I'm using the company is not just using me by paying me little. I'm also using the company for experience. That's the way I see it. So we are using ourselves. That's simply what it is. You guys are using me by not paying me so much, and that's totally fine. I'm using this for experience, so that number one, so that I can add it to my CV. Number two, so that I can actually on the job. You get it? So when you have that perspective towards how you're working, it becomes a lot more easier for you. All right. So let's move to the next. And this is very important. Learn to get stuff done. Gosh, I feel like we currently are in this cycle, or I don't want to say generation, because I mean in this generation as well. But there's this thing about wanting to posture. There's a lot of media posturing that we like to do. Posting stuff on LinkedIn. I think the most hilarious is when you call yourself, someone who probably has less than 6 months experience, UX designer. UX design. Like, don't enough with the posturing. Just get work done. Like I said the day, what matters is getting stuff done. So do the work, right? Enough with all this posturing, trying to seem a certain way, trying to look a certain way. Because let me tell you something that actually happens. When you put on your LinkedIn that you're a senior UX designer, and then you call yourself a senior UX designer, all right? You get an interview and you flop. Let me tell you what that does. And most of the time, in my experience, I've noticed that usually happens in not so advantaged countries. Like, say, for example, Nigeria. Something I've seen very consistently among designers in Nigeria. Let me tell you what that does. By instinct, the recruiter then begins to think that any designer they find in Nigeria who says he's not as good as he thinks he is. And so, whenever they see someone else, for example, who calls himself a senior designer, who is actually a senior designer, they instinctively think, oh, he's from Nigeria. He most likely is from junior guy who is just posturing as a senior guy. And that will do two things. Number one, it's going to give you a low ball offer. If they do get you a job, they're going to get you a low ball offer because they think, well, you guys only serious there because you want to try to get a job. Number two, they're just as a liar. That's simply what it is. So you think you're helping yourself, but you're not helping yourself. You're actually doing yourself, a lot of disservice, calling yourself what you are not. So don't posture. Do work. Stop down. You'll get the job done. Enough with joining the paparazzi on Twitter to talk about how clients don't understand design. Guess what? They're the ones that are going to pay you. Just enough of all this. The customer is saying the client says he wants the logo to pop. He wants to make it pop. He's going to pay you the money. It's not designers out there that are going to pay you the money. Do you understand? So do what you need to do. And I was listening to this documentary. Not a documentary, an interview with Barack Obama a while ago between Barack Obama and the LinkedIn chief. It's just that simple. Learn how to be the kind of person that people know. He's going to do this. He's going to get it done. No matter how hard things are, he's going to get it done. That's the most important thing, really. You are going to be hired to do your work. No matter how hard it is, no matter how tough it is, just to work. You're not for street. All right. And this is a very important advice. Design for your next role. I cannot say this enough. And it's in line with what I said about when I talked about progress. All right. The way you should always look at it is this. Now, if, for example, you're looking for your first role, right? You're looking for your first job, entry-level design job. It's not the smartest thing to just be designing UI screens. UI screens are good, but you're not going to get to unless you're just a UI designer. You just design one-page UI screens, right? Begin to work on projects, because if you get into a company, they're not just going to be designing one page or one screen. That's not what you're going to do. They're going to take an entire project and you're going to work on it. And so you need to begin to design for that role that you want to have. Enough of just putting screens in your portfolio. You're just putting screenshots of designs. Nobody, it's not going to work, at least not anymore. Work as though you're working on a life, or as though you're working on a project. Pick up a particular project, work on a case study. That's how it is, all right? And do it as though you are going to handle what you are coming into. You are coming into a job to do. Think of it as if you are the hiring manager or the recruiter, and you want to recruit someone. Just think about it. If I was going to recruit somebody, who am I more likely to recruit? The person who seems like, they have an idea what they're supposed to do, or is it the kind of person who is already doing the kind of things I want him to do when he gets into the role? Of course, it's the second person. Do you understand me? So design for what, do the work for the kind of role you want to get into. Don't wait till you get there. That's the mistake a lot of people always make. Oh, when I get to this place, I begin to do this kind of thing. No. All right. Do the kind of work for that role now, such that when people see you, they see you within the context of that role. Do you understand me? And so it's not hard for them to say, you know what, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take a try on this person. I'm going to test this person out. And now that's for entry level guys. Same as well, if you're trying to scale, it's the same thing in your job. You're trying to scale and stuff like that. Right? Look at the portfolio of designers who are in those roles that you want to be in. Right? Study their case studies and begin to work in that particular kind of in that kind of line. So, for example, you look at someone's case studies and a lot of information architecture, user flows. They're talking about journey maps. They're talking about different metrics and KPIs and so on and so forth. What you should be doing, understand now. Don't just now at the same time too. Don't just copy. All right. Don't become a thief. All right. So understand what it is that they are doing. Understand why they do the things they do. Behind those things, and let you incorporate it into your work. That's how these things are done. Do you understand me? Learn how to incorporate it into your work, such that you then begin. So at the end of the day, this is how I see it. You don't become a senior by getting a senior designer. You become a senior when you begin to work with a senior. Then when you work with a senior, when people see your work, this guy's a senior guy. It's not bad. I think there are going to be some places where you call yourself, some companies you call yourself senior product designer, and you come across a mid-level designer in another company, and the senior in one company can't stand that mid-level guy because it's not by name. And particularly when in a role like in tech roles where currently there are not so very clear distinctive lines between different roles. For example, there's really no clear distinction between what makes someone entry level and what makes someone mid-level, or makes someone mid-level and senior, and so on and so forth. There's no very clear distinction. So you can have someone who is a mid-level somewhere else and who is extremely better than someone who is a senior somewhere else. Do you understand me? Forget these titles, forget the name, get the job done. That's what it is at the end of the day. Get the job done. If you want to be this kind of person, then if you want to be in that kind of in a certain kind of role, then begin to work like you're in that role. And this is why I said before that treat your company as not just a place where they're using you, you're also using them for experience. Try out new stuff. Do you understand me? You see something in somebody's portfolio, say for example, you see some interesting interactions that you think are really cool. Use them at your current workplace. Two things it's going to do. It's going to make your manager know that this guy is getting better and is upskilling, and chances are, if you don't pay attention to it, he's going to give because he's going to see opportunities. Do you understand me? And so they are thinking, I think it's time to begin to consider, right? And if they are not doing that, then you are getting better. You are most likely going to have a better portfolio, and then you have better chances at getting better. So either way, it works well for you. You get me? And then lastly, always make sure your next work is better than your past. Something I always emphasize. Always I say the things that will happen. In the initial stage, it's a lot easier for that to happen. But trust me, when you get to a particular stage, all right, when you've advanced really well, it becomes a lot harder to see what was wrong in your previous designs. Then you're no longer growing. So you must always ensure that what you're going to do, if you have put this the work that you did some 3 months ago, you have to see clear differences. And that's it. All right. So with your portfolio, your newest project portfolio must always be better than your last. Keep it like that. All right. If you check it, it's something that you can see on my portfolio as well. If you check my portfolio, you can easily tell what are the what I see. It's mastery, even the kind of sections that are there and so on and so forth. Because it's not also the employer, whoever is going to hire you. So we have to be sure that that's for everyone.
Hello, Israel. Your voice is cracking actually. So the call is cracking a bit. Yeah, maybe you might want to check the internet connection. Right. Thank you.
All right. So can you hear me now? Is it any better now?
Yeah, it is better now. Let me try and hear
Better now.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, sorry about that. So I think I'm just gonna pick up. I think I was talking about
Checking
making
your
sure your next.
portfolio, and then you would see some of the projects you'd worked on. That's where we couldn't get you clearly again.
Oh, all right then. So about making sure your next work is better than your last. I think that was what it is. So I was just saying that it has to be obvious that you're growing. All right. It has to be clear. These are things that recruiters actually look out for. Your next case study has to be better. Exactly. Your next work has to be better than your last. Your next case study has to be better than your last. All right. Ensure that you're growing. Ensure that there's one thing that changes. That's one thing. Ensure that between your next case study and the last case study that you worked on, the next project you work on, the last, let there be something particular that you can say, this got better. Even if it is something as basic as accessibility, something like usability, something like using pictures instead of illustrations, stuff like that. But just always make sure that there is significant difference between the next work you are doing and the last work that you did. The next one, keep it moving and don't settle easy. And I think it's very important because when let me give you a scenario. In a scenario where, for example, your first job was maybe like 50K, 60K, you get, and then you continue to increase like that, and then you get this job where probably now you're earning 500 or 750K per month. Now you're a big boy. Do you understand? Like things are soft. At least a lot softer than they were before. That's the honest truth. But you don't settle easy. Do you get? And that's the reason, and this is where career comes in. It's a long-term thing. All right. There's something I always notice with older folks, and a lot of times I think about it, that what exactly did older folks understand that makes it okay with them? For example, yes, some people who say I've been at for like 25 years. And while of course I'm never going to advise anybody to be at a job for 25 years, it gives you a long-term perspective toward career. And so sometimes when you talk to people and there's this this drive, I want to do everything in 5 years. Like, damn it, chill. Like, you're gonna do this job thing for a while, unless you want to die, like maybe next year or next 2 years. You still have like some 15, 20 years to do this job thing. So chill. Do you get? Like, I get your point of wanting to move fast too. Do you understand? But chill, all right. But then always have in mind it's a long-term thing. So keep it moving. Don't settle easy. You get that job that is really nice. I remember I said this to someone a while ago. I said, at some point, you have a particular dream salary. For example, your dream salary is 800K, like or more. If I start earning 800K last one, shit, my life don't, and everything is, you're like, damn. And then you hit the 800K, and then you realize you were dreaming so little. That's just the honest reality. So let's keep it moving. Yes, I'm at that job now that I thought I would never get. I'm living a lot better than I thought I could live. But you know what? I need to move on. Do you understand me? I need to move on. And this is where I think if you make progress a part of you, not a result-based thing, but more about something you are used to, it's always going to help. So, for example, I don't take courses because I'm trying to get a new job. I just take courses because I have to, and I'm going to get there very soon. I upskill because that's just a part of me. At every point in time in my design career, in the last, say, for example, particularly in the last, say, 3 years, I can significantly tell you all of the major courses I've taken. And it's not so much about getting the next job. It's just about being better than the way I was before. Do you understand me? But here's the thing. There's a way those things also reward you. Because you upskill, you get better. You realize that you are better. then you're like, oh, this job can't handle like the kind of things I can do anymore. I need to go somewhere better. And because you are now better, you actually can fit into a better role. Do you get me? So make upskilling more of an habit than something you are doing because you want to get a better job. Of course, in the long run, it's going to get you a better job, right? But just make it a habit. So even at the end of the day, when you get into that job that you consider to be your dream job, because you already have a habit of upskilling, sooner than later, you will upskill out of that your dream role, and a better role is going to come around. But if it's all about, having a destination, getting to a result, getting to a particular place, if you get to that your dream job, you just rest and you're like, I'm here already. And the crazy thing about tech is it moves fast. Before you know it, in 2 years, you that you're a big boy or a baller, you that you were, you consider yourself to be, a major deal. In 2 years now, you don't know anything anymore. Do you understand me? So you have to constantly develop that habit of upskilling, constantly develop that habit of keeping it moving. In fact, there was something that someone I consider a career mentor said to me, and I think it's one of the best advice I'm probably going to give anybody. He said, my full-time job is applying for jobs. He said, my actual job is like my side gig. And let me explain. He believes that, in whatever role you are in, you should constantly keep applying for jobs, even if you don't need a job. And it's something I'm always going to advise people to do. Always apply for jobs, even when you don't need jobs, even when you are not trying to change your job, just apply. And the advantages are this. Number one is it makes you understand where you stand in the job market. Do you understand me? So as you apply for jobs and you are seeing the kind of people who are responding to you, probably you are getting a lot of rejection mails, or more. Be like, say, I know today like that. Do you understand? So I have to go and work on my stuff, right? If you are applying for jobs as well, and then the kind of people that are getting back to you are like top guys, understand me? You're like, okay, I'm not bad. And what that does for you is that, there's something people call, and I don't like to use curse words, but there's something people call FU money, and it's the kind of money that is like, all the best to you, get the hell out, something like that, right? I believe personally that when you know your worth outside, there are some kind of things that your manager or your folks you work with cannot do with you anyhow. You can't treat me anyhow because I know if you do anyhow today, I'm leaving tomorrow. There are jobs waiting for me. Do you understand? Like, so when you know your worth, when you are constantly applying for jobs, you are seeing opportunities that are coming your way, and like these are actually opportunities that are coming. I mean, if my once being forthcoming about it, I'm leaving. Do you understand? Because I'm the prize. You get, like, I'm a spec. They know outside I'm the spec. So if you don't value me here, I'm going. All right. And I just want to add this, by the way, all right, that don't get emotional when it comes to work. I can't say this enough. Your work is not your family. Your workplace is not, you say we are like a family here. We are not like a family here. Which kind of family sacks their family member? I hope you realize if you don't show up to work, they will sack you. So when they tell you, we're like family here, but the person that's telling you we're like family here, we sack you. They are doing appraisal. If you don't do your appraisal well, they will let you go. What kind of a family member lets their family member go? So don't get into that jack. There's no work is work. I'm not looking for a family member. I know my brothers. I know where my brothers are. I'm not looking for brothers. I'm not looking for sisters. I don't have daddy issues. I'm not looking for a father. Do you understand me? I'm here to work. I'm here to do what I need to do, and so that you give me my money. And it's that simple. So understand this. It puts things in perspective. Never get, and this thing is hard. Don't let me lie to you. It's hard because when you're very passionate about what you do, for example, someone like me, when you're very passionate about the kind of work you do, and you are genuinely interested in seeing impact in your work, you get emotionally attracted to, or you get emotionally attached to the work you do, such that it becomes a hard thing to leave. And I've had that kind of problem before. Do you understand me? Particularly when you're just very involved and stuff. But always keep it at the back of your mind. Anytime I begin to feel like I'm getting emotionally attached, I tell myself a simple thing. If I stop delivering today, these people will sack me. It's that simple. They will sack me. So once you know that, at the end of the day, you are just sacking them before they sack you. That's what it is at the end of the day. And it's not because they are bad people. It's just the way it is. If you are an employer as well, you want to maximize profits. You don't want to have somebody at your workplace who isn't working as well as they should be working. Do you get me? If they don't work well, you will sack them. That's just normal because resources are limited and you want to make the most out of resources. It makes sense that your employer as well doesn't want to pay you as much as they are worth. It makes sense. If you are an employer, you will do the same thing. That's the honest truth. Even though you should do your best possible to pay people what they are worth, you want to maximize profits. You want to pay little to get the most. So you need to understand that at the end of the day, and guide, the one guide that our need, you get, we are using ourselves. So have brain. Do you understand? So this is a, how would I put it now? This is real life. This is work. Do you understand? It is kill or be killed. That's do you get me? So maybe you're a nice guy, you're a nice guy, or you're a church boy or church girl, wherever you are. That's good. When it comes to work, face work as the way work is. Don't be. I don't now. It sounds like maybe I hate employers. All right, but do your work and be paid for it. And if you feel like you're not being paid well enough for it, get out of there. Go to a better place. Don't waste your time. That's my advice I'm going to give you. So that's the reason I say I believe constantly keep applying. Constantly keep applying. In fact, let me tell you something very weird. The first, there are scenarios where the day I got a new job, like I got my offer letter for a new job, because it was so much of a habit. In the evening, I already said before, if you have questions, please put it in the comments. In the evening, because it was already a habit, I was applying to new jobs in the evening. Be like, guy, chill. Like, you just got a job offer this morning. Like, what are you applying for? Okay, if you apply now and they give you the job, will you take it? Will you? So that's the thing. So, but it's a habit already, and it just helps you because it lets you know, oh, this is what I'm what's in the market. This is how much people are willing to pay me. So what that does is that when you talk to your manager, for example, you can easily negotiate. Like, for example, you want a promotion. You can, with your full chest, call that amount because there are people outside who are willing to pay me that. And there's another phrase I always hear people say, all right, and I always say it is, your boss knows what you are worth. He just hopes you don't know it. And that's it. They know the truth of it is every employer knows if this person should leave my company, they know what it is going to do. But they are just hoping that you don't know so that they can keep paying you what they are paying you. And just to be clear, it doesn't make them bad people. It just makes them entrepreneurs who are trying to maximize profit. Simple. That's capitalism. Do you get? So just accept it. All right. So I think I've done enough here. Okay, then I think I should also add this to that. In the earlier stages of your career, I think you change jobs as much as often. This is an advice you'll find people say a lot. I don't think it's a very smart thing on your first role that you are there for 5 years. Unless, now pay attention, unless there is internal promotion in that role. Say, for example, you work in a company where over the space of 5 years, you've grown from a junior designer to a mid-level designer. Do you understand me? And it's not just in terms of name. It also shows because some companies are interesting. They will change name for you, and the salary change does not align with the change of name. Do you get me? So it's not about change of name. Your salary must show that you are promoted. The kind of tasks that you undo must show that you are promoted. If not, my guy, move. Don't stay there. Don't stay there. Do you get me? So in the earlier stages of a career, I advise try to change jobs often. Try your best possible. Once you do 2 years, your first role, you do 2 years, go. I hope there are no startup owners, there are no startup founders or co-founders. But that's just me. Unless, as I've said before, the caveat there is unless you are genuinely growing in that role and you are growing both remuneration wise and at the same time you are growing in terms of the kind of projects you are handling, then it's worth staying in. All right. But then I also think that you should take as many side gigs as possible when you're starting. All right. Take as many side gigs as possible. And what that does for you is that it helps you to have a myriad of experience in different fields. All right. I've been opportune it's 5 years, but 5 years is not a very long time. 5 years. And in 5 years, I've done e-commerce, I've done fashion, I've done edtech, I've done cybersecurity, I've done HR tech, name it. I've designed a lot of fields. Do you understand me? So that experience has really helped me. I've done UX research, I've done like core research work, I've done core UX design work, I've done UI design work. Of course, the average Nigerian designer would have done UI design work. So I've done a lot of stuff. I've done a little bit of, in fact, product management as well. So what that does for you is that it expands your scope and it opens you up for more opportunities. So take side gigs, all right, with your job. Ensure that it doesn't affect your performance at your job. I'm always an advocate for that. I don't think at the same time you shouldn't be cheating your employer at the same time. If they are paying you to work, then get the work done. All right, but then take as many side gigs as you possibly can because it also helps you expand your tentacles and work on more projects. That's that. Then invest in your career. See, let me say this. All of us, we are selling something. At the end of the day, all of us, we are selling something. Whether the entrepreneur who owns a business, the co-founder who leads a startup, or the tech guy who is a developer or who is a designer, we are all selling something. And so what that means is this. You just have to recognize what your product is. For the tech guy, your products are your skills. All right. And you need to realize that you need to make your product better for people to pay more for it. It's that simple. And so since your skills are your product, you have to invest in your skills. You have to. This idea of wanting free things all the time, it can't help you. It can't help you. Think just it's basic. If everybody can have access to the information, why do they have to employ you to do it? It means there's going to be certain things that have access to or you're privy to because you are ready to invest extra in it. And see, I understand that money is not easy to come by, and I know how expensive some of these things can be, but the moment you can afford it, I personally believe that as you upskill, all right, you can also increase the amount of money you're willing to spend on skills. Because the higher you go, the higher the the higher the interest rates on the amount of money you invest. All right. So let me give you an example. The first job I got was for 60K. When I got my first salary for 60K, I took a course, Interaction Design Foundation. The annual membership fee was, I think, $100. All right. And $100 then was about 41,000 naira. So imagine getting your first salary of 60,000 naira, and then you take 41,000 and you put it into an online course. I couldn't even tell my mother. How do you tell your mom that you carry 40,000? Just to give you context, I finished from OAU. In OAU, I studied physiotherapy in OAU. My final school fee was 30-something thousand in OAU. So how do I tell my mom that I paid 40,000 for design, and and my school fee was 30,000? But that's the thing. I knew that this is something that's going to benefit me on the long run. Do you understand me? And it actually has. Do you get me? So be willing to spend. And I can tell you this, over the years, I've spent a whole lot more than that. I'm recently finishing a course. In fact, today I'm going to be finishing the course, right? And the course actually cost over $1,000. And it was a 6 weeks course. Over 1,000. Now, it's a lot of money, and I know. But on the long run, it's going to do stuff for me. Do you get me? And also, I think I must also add this, that as you grow in your career, you're going to also get into organizations where they will pay you to upskill. That's another thing. Do you understand me? So at the current place where I work, there's actually a learning and development budget, right, where they pay for courses for you. Do you understand me? And so, for example, the course I over $1,000 is actually being paid for by the company I work for, not by me. And why is that? Because they also understand the importance of you upskilling. They know when you upskill, to become a better asset for the company. You help us build better products, and so we can also move in a better direction. Do you understand me? So even companies understand the importance of you upskilling. So I know initially you hardly find startups who can afford that. That makes sense. But then ensure that as you are growing, you are willing to invest into your career. Majorly money. Invest money into your career. I cannot say that enough. Invest money. Spend on your career. If you can, spend 20, 30, 40K buying that nice shoe. You can also spend 30K paying for that course. Pay for it. It's totally worth it. It's going to pay you on the long run. All right. So then I also think another thing that you can also do is create a list of your strengths and weaknesses. All right. Okay. As a product designer, these are my strengths. Maybe, for example, I'm quite good at UI design. All right. I'm quite good at UI design. I have quite some understanding of branding, but I'm not really good at UX. All right. I'm not really good at research. Do you understand me? Okay. What can I do? You write out those things. Okay, these are the things I need to get better at. Okay, so what courses am I going to take? What is my plan? Am I going to, you can, of course, there are free courses as well. Am I going to take a free course on this, and this? Just have a level of intentionality with your career. Don't just go with vibes. How people, you just see one, somebody just post one case study somewhere. You just shall bookmark it. You shall pack article together. You're just reading left, right, center. Now, those things are good, but you must also have a sort of intentionality where you say, for this particular period in my career, this is what I'm focusing on. So me, for example, I have a plan. All right, for the first 6 months of the year, I had a focus. Do you understand me? For the remaining 6 months of this year, I know what I'm focusing on career-wise. I already have courses in mind that I have to take. Actually, for the remaining 6 months of this year, minus the one I'm finishing today. That's how to think. You think long term. Do you understand me? You keep going. So you have to intentionally invest in your career. And then also, I must also add that soft skills are as important to your career as technical skills. One mistake that techies often make is that we think all that matters is the technical skill. So for the designer, all that matters is my ability to use Figma, my ability to use Figma, my ability to use different kind of prototyping apps, my Protopie, this one, that one. See, my guy, at the end of the day, let me tell you something. Anybody can have technical skills. Anybody. As you get exposed more and more by the day, you will meet people who are extremely brilliant, who know this design thing. They know it's like the back of their hands. Listen to me. there are some things that are a lot, don't let me say a lot more important, but as important as technical skills, your soft skills, communication. See, let me tell you this very simple. I personally believe that one of the things that has helped me over time in my design career has been my communication skills. I will communicate. I will over communicate, Seth. Do you understand? Like, you can have any complaint about me, but if you ever complain that I don't communicate well, I just know you don't like me. Because that's a strong skill I have. And anytime when I apply to jobs, anytime when I'm interviewed, it's one of the things I always highlight. I'm a master communicator. I know how to communicate very well. I know how to, tell you, I know how to manage expectations in terms of telling you the things I need to do. All right. I know how to also let you know about things that are not very realistic. I know how to handle criticism. I know how to give constructive criticism. So I communicate very well. For someone else, it might be analytic, it might be your ability to break down complex problems and see it a certain way. For someone else, it might be the fact that you're an excellent team worker. Do you get me? That you know how to, give a lot of vibe and work, to the team. So first of all, recognize your soft skills and push it well. And if you also recognize that there are certain soft skills that are necessary that you don't have, learn it. For example, you're a product designer, you're going to have to learn how to do presentations, because you're going to present stuff to stakeholders. You're going to present stuff to your product manager. You're going to present stuff to your developers. You're going to learn to collaborate. So if you know that you don't have those soft skills, learn it. There's no such thing as I'm shy. You are shy, okay? You can't be shy, my guy. This is work. You have to get it done. All right. So learn soft skills. All right. Let me just run. I feel like time is running now. So keep up skilling up. Continue to take courses and the likes to strengthen your areas of improvements. Get comfortable paying for knowledge. All right. Then also invest in people and networks. I want to say that I believe that there's an obsession with mentorship that I think is unnecessary. All right. Mentors are good. They're totally fine. But don't get obsessed about getting mentors. I don't have a design mentor. I have senior guys. I have guys that are senior to me who design that I look up to. And certain times when I have some concerns, I reach out to them to help me. All right. But I don't have a design mentor. In fact, the one person that I can consider my career mentor is a developer. He's not a designer. Why? Because at the end of the day, all I need is motivation. The way the internet is structured today, there is literally no information you need on any course that you cannot find. So, do you understand? So, a lot of times, what people are looking for in mentorship is something, just punch your keyboard, you will find it. Do you get me? So, this obsession with, want to find a mentor, you enter somebody's DM, please, can you be my mentor? It feels mechanical, and most of the time, more often than not, I can tell you from personal experience, from people top guys that I've spoken to, it never really works. Do you understand me? It never really works, because I can promise you that person that you're also looking at to as a mentor, he too is trying to upskill and learn other things. Do you understand me? So it doesn't work like that. So it's good to have mentors, but if you don't have it, don't feel bad. Do you understand me? And I put something, I said a mentor won't stop you from being lazy. Some people are just lazy. You don't need a mentor, you're just lazy. You just need to learn to get stuff done. Stand up, sit down, get yourself together and get the job done. That's what you need sometimes. All right, so don't get obsessed about getting mentors. In my opinion, I think what you should find are colleagues. Find colleagues who are motivated. In fact, let me say something. If you upskill well enough and you're well motivated, those people who you consider mentors and who you want to get close to in terms of mentorship, you will oftentimes not come across them. And this time, because you have something to offer, there's going to be a sort of symbiotic relationship between you. Of course, it's still going to be obvious that this person knows more than me. But because this person also knows that you are highly motivated and you are doing your best possible to get better, they want to get close to you because they know this guy has ginger, he has drive. So not only is he going to benefit from me, I'm also going to benefit from him. There's something about the way we view men makes it feel so parasitic. This person, I always come to meet this person to help me. Whereas in reality, it should be, what can that mentor gain from you? Because your mentor can gain stuff from you too as well. Maybe the next time you want to ask someone for mentorship, maybe just tell them, you know what, I'm a product designer, I do this and this. Do you have any free projects on your hand that you would like to, you would need help on? I would like to collaborate with you on it. So as simple as that. Do you understand me? You are probably busy, you probably have a lot of side gigs on your hand. You know what? Let me handle one of the side gigs for you. I don't mind doing it for free. Now, you are the one that wants mentorship. So if you are willing to do that, that's okay. I don't mind doing it for you for free. Just at the end of the day, what you're looking for in mentorship is for the person to guide you. So if you actually can work with them on a project, do you understand me? That's totally fine. Maybe sometimes you can even just say, you know what, I know you're really busy. Can you just spare 1 hour of your time? Help me look through my portfolio. Tell me the things that are not so good there or the things I need to work on. And then the person gives you feedback. You go back, iterate on those feedbacks, get back to them and stuff like that. You didn't have to call them mentor, but they're actually beginning to help you. You get my point? All right. So that obsession with mentorship, calm it down, get work done. Do you get me? That's what I feel though. Some people might think otherwise, but that's what I really think. All right. So find colleagues. If you're a community person, join communities. I'm not so much of a community person, to be fair, because I have a lot of involvement, a lot of personal involvement. So I really don't have time. And I believe that communities are two-way. If you're in a community, you shouldn't only receive, you should give. So because I don't think I can give so much, I'm not a very big fan of communities. But in reality, have colleagues, have guys, have a network. Networks are important. They are my first product design gig. I got it because of a friend of mine who isn't even a techie, but knew that I do product design. Do you understand me? Have that network, particularly when you're starting. You need the network of folk who are also learning, such that when you are discouraged and distracted, you can always talk to them, and they're going to be like, "Oh, now so everybody say I'm Jare." And when one person has a win, all of you are excited, you're happy for the person, and the person shares you some tips and stuff like that, and you guys grow together. Do you get me? I look back now, and I know a whole lot. I know a good number of my guys who we started together who are now doing very, very well. Do you understand? Trust me, they had terrible stories. All right, but now they are doing well because we grew together. Do you understand me? So have colleagues. That's what I think. Colleagues are probably even better than mentors. Now that's just what I think, anyways. Then lastly, of course, referrals are a big deal. So in part of having a network, referrals are a big deal. Trust me, there are some jobs that you can be doing 5 interviews for, and one guy just says, "I know this guy, I can vouch for him, he's very good." And all you have to do is talk to. You just have a call with the co-founder, and you are in, and that's it. All right. So referrals are a big deal. All right. So and this is where I also think the place of posting your work online comes in. All right. You might be a fan of it, you might not be a fan of it. I'm personally not at least recently. I don't really post my designs online anymore, and that I don't want to go into the reasons for that. But the point of it is just let people know you as a product designer. If you are doing design, you're a new guy, you need a job. They don't know your WhatsApp status. You are forming maturity that you don't want to post. You're not serious. So you're not serious at all. Better posts so that people will know that these guys, even if you are doing bad, let people see your career growth. Do you understand? Let people say, initially, yellow more red, the yellow at your orange purple. Do you understand? And then as it keeps going, people can publicly see. So you have street cred. You get me? You see that you can't drag me. The reason you can't drag me, and if I blow my trumpet today, the reason you can't drag me is because check my Twitter 3-4 years ago. Is there all the designs I posted when I was getting better? Do you understand? Is there? So I have street cred. People know me. Do you understand me? So I'm not just some random guy who is coming from somewhere. Myself, what I'm not. People, guys, they know Israel. You get? So that's simply what it is. All right. So let people know you. Referrals are a big deal. Do you understand me? Let people know you. It helps. It does. All right. Lastly, get comfortable with rejections. Get comfortable with rejections. It is part of the game. Get comfortable. I know rejections are hard. I know that sometimes you can what's the word now? You can be very fixated on a particular job role. Maybe like now me then they fine. Now me then they fine. You get, and then you craft that resume, you craft that this thing. Maybe you even you what's the word? You did the design task, you are too confident. Say, forget, it's not me. And then damn. We are very sorry to tell you, stuff like that. Say, I should to serve mini breakfast. Guess what? It's part of the game. Do you understand? Shake it and move on. Let me tell you guys a very funny story, right? So, should I mention the name of this company? I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but before I got my last job, all right. So we regret to inform you exactly. Before I got my last job, all right, which was a startup in Berlin, all right. During that stage, I was actively interviewing for like 3 jobs, right? I wasn't so convinced about the first one, but the second one was a Nigerian fintech, and I was too confident about it. I'd already applied. I'd done everything. Things were looking good. I'm like, there, I've gotten this one. And then I remember, did the design test, everything, and then, got the mail. We regret to inform you. I can remember very clearly that as I got that mail, I just stood up and went to Jevnik. I went to Iteba. I just went to Iteba. I sat down at Iteba, and what's to level it? I just ate Iteba to try to forget my problems. Do you understand me? Shook it off. That one pained me. I'm not going to lie. Pained me, but I shook it off, and you know what to move. Now, guess what? The third role I was applying for. Now, if I'm being honest with you, that third role, I wasn't interested. Like, not that I wasn't interested. It was a foreign job. And so I wasn't so confident that I could get it. I mean, if I'm losing a Nigerian fintech, what is the confidence that I'm going to get a foreign job? Do you understand me? That was the third one. But guess what? That was the one I ended up getting. And in fact, that one probably paid me at least 2 times whatever the Nigerian fintech would have paid me. Do you understand? So you never know. You never know. So get comfortable with rejections. Be okay with it. One time I was talking to a guy. He posted on his WhatsApp status that he felt so bad about a rejection that he got. I told him I've not checked my mail today, but I'm sure that already I have at least 3 rejection mails. I've not checked my mail today. I've been too busy. I've not had time to check it. But if I check my mail, I'm sure that I will see at least 3 rejections. And of the truth, I checked my mail. I took a screenshot. It was even 4 rejections. 4 rejection mail. Remember I said I always apply to jobs even when I don't need it. Do you get me? So I just took a screenshot and said, my guy, no be only you. Do you get? I've not even checked. See rejection. Do you understand? So let me tell you something about rejection mails. Number one is you get better rejections. Let me explain what I mean. Maybe before you've been applying for jobs and maybe they never respond to you. Then you get to a particular point, they begin to actually respond to you. Do you understand me? So you are making some progress. Then you get to a point where you are making it past the first interview stage. That's progress. Do you get me? What is happening at that point in time, as you get more rejections, you begin to understand better and better the things that you are doing wrong, the things that you need to do right so that you can get to the next stage. So get comfortable. You see, there are 2 ways you can see these things. You can either see it as setbacks or opportunities for growth. If you always see it as opportunities for growth, it shapes the way you see things. That's the truth. All right. So you keep with time, you keep getting better at those rejections. You keep getting better up until when you get to a point where you are going to land that job. So, you understand? So see it as an opportunity for growth. All right. So get strong, accept it. All right. It's part of the game. You can't hear me. Sorry, I can see someone saying that they can't hear me. Is that for everyone?
I can actually hear you.
Oh,
Maybe the person needs to leave and then join back.
All right then. So please, you can just leave and join again so you can hear me. So that's what I'm going to say. Rejections, learn from them, iterate on them, get some thick skin. Is what it is. See, the best of us still chop rejection. That's the fact. The best of us. Sometimes it's not because you're not good enough. There was just somebody else who was a better fit in the job role. As you're looking for the job, someone else is looking for a job too now. Why should they hire you over the person? Do you understand? Maybe there was just a better fit. Maybe the person has more years of experience. Maybe the person had one particular thing that you don't have. Do you get me? Because a lot of times to the job that you got into, if you hear why they hired you, sometimes you'll be shocked that it might not even be your strongest point that got you hired. It might just be something that you didn't even pay attention to. Do you get me? That you didn't even pay attention to, that made them hire you. And when they hired you, they also rejected some people. So, my guy, it's a cycle of life, all right? So just accept it, all right? Rejections are part of, they're part of the game. So just accept it, and that's what it is. So let me see. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much everything. So yeah, go and scale that. I think that with the tips I've given so far, I think they should really help you in scaling your design career. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything for now. So if you have any questions, let's have it.
Thank you, Israel. Thank you so much. And the tips, you really cracked me up. So thank you. Then the tips, I'm not sure it's only for designers. My notes are filled already. It is like first of its kind. And something stood out for me. While we take questions, please, even if you don't have questions, you can just drop your take homes from this, right? You should actually have questions. And I think my favorite point, my WhatsApp contact, they will know that I attended webinar today, right? It's more of upskilling should be a lifestyle, and then it just eats me bam. I'm like, it's very catch your soul, right? And somebody wants to join. Yeah. So we have a question already. What makes a junior, mid, senior?
All right. Okay, so what makes a junior? I mean, if you check online, you're going to see different reasons and different explanations. In my opinion, I think I'm going to segment it into number one, level of expertise. One, number two, scope of work, and number three, level of collaboration. Number one, level of expertise. How good are you? Simple. In terms of let's design. Do you understand me? How fast are you? Someone who has been designing on Figma for the past 2 years, there are some shortcuts There's some things There's a way you know how to work around auto layouts. You know how to work around this, how to work around that. There are certain things that, just by experience, there are certain designs that when a scenario comes up that you need to design for, you've come across something like that before. So this is the best way to do this. Do you get me? It's just that you've acquired over the years. Do you understand me? So in terms of level of expertise, that's one. All right. You just in terms of you are better now than you were before. So a mid-level guy is going to be better than a junior guy, who's going to be better than a senior guy. All right. Although the primary difference between a junior and mid most of the time, all right, is level of expertise. Do you understand me? I'm better now than I was before in terms of my use of Figma, in terms of my my creativity, level of creativity, in terms of the exposure to the kind of projects I've worked on and stuff like that. That's one. Number two, and this is where you begin to have a difference between mid-level and seniority, right? And being a senior guy and stuff is more about scope of work. So for a junior guy, most of the time you're just going to focus more on what's happening in Figma. Do you understand me? What's happening in Figma? That's usually what the junior guy, he collaborates with developers, but he doesn't have a say. Do you understand? It's just more of this is what I've designed. Can it happen? Can it not happen? Do you understand me? And that's it, right? But for the mid-level guy, he begins to have his tentacles spread a bit more. And that's where scope of work comes in. So he's not just doing Figma. Now he's involved in the UX researcher. That's if they have the UX researcher on their team, or he's involved in UX research, all right, himself. All right. He's involved in scoping of work sometimes with the product manager. So now the product manager isn't just saying we should do this, this, and this. The product manager has something in mind. You are working hand in hand with the product manager, telling them, okay, this is what's realistic. This is what's from our research. These are the things that we've gotten. So this is what we should do. All right. You're beginning to have some sense of autonomy on your work where you can begin to give some inputs, not just Figma, but outside Figma. All right. And then you can collaborate with developers. You can begin to tell developers, this is what we need to do. You can begin to collaborate with developers saying, this is what we need to do. All right. This is something that has to be done because users need this and users need that. So now it's not just about what's the word now? About developers saying, no, we can't do this. It is okay, come guys, sit down. Let me sit down. What is possible? What is not possible? You begin to have some understanding of even some basic coding language so that you can also collaborate better. Do you understand me? And then lastly, for someone who is senior, all right, it becomes much increase in scope of work and then much heightened collaboration. So for a more senior guy, at that point in time, you can even begin to lead a team. You can lead a team that has developers inside it. You can lead a team that even has a product manager inside it, because now the scope of work is a lot more open. Now you are brought into the process a lot earlier. Do you understand? Maybe from the point where we want to develop a feature, from the point where we even decide whether or not we should work on the feature, they already brought you in. Do you understand me? Probably because you have some expertise in terms of understanding data and interpreting data into design decisions. Do you understand me? And then in terms of collaborating with stakeholders, maybe now you are talking directly with the co-founder. The co-founder is telling you, this is what we have in mind to do. And you are telling them, okay, these are the things I think should be part of our MVP. These are the things I think should not be part of our MVP. And you are collaborating with developers now in not in a way of what's the word? You are not collaborating with them in the sense of them telling you what they can do. You are now the one telling them this is possible, because if you can't do it this way, this is the way you can do it. Because remember, as I said, you already have some knowledge in terms of coding. So now you can tell them, oh, this is actually realistic. This interaction should be done this way. All right. If you can't do it this way, this is another way you should do it, so on and so forth. So that's really the difference between things. So yeah, I hope that answered the question for next time. You said, okay, is it best to add other hard skills to make you more appealing to recruiters as a UX designer, or to just stick with your UX design? Well, that is a pretty interesting question. So this is what I'm going to say. Normally, you're a UI UX designer. That's your work. So if we are being honest, you shouldn't need to do more to be hired. However, because of the reality, I said accept your reality. The reality of it is that most Nigerian companies need 5-in-1. They want 5-in-1. See, if Nigerian companies could hire developer, researcher, designer, product manager in one person that should do all the work, they will do it. So why did I say that? You are more likely to be hired if you have other skills aside just your UX design, right? If, for example, for startups are looking for people who can do many things. So if, for example, like for me, I had background in brand identity and marketing designs, right? Logo design, so on and so forth. And that was one of the things that really helped me in my previous job. All right. Because by the time I was talking to the sales and marketing person. I'm like, you know what? I have some background in brand identity and marketing. Aside just being a product designer, I can also help you guys with. Of course, I wasn't directly involved in the brand and stuff, but I could help with some level of advice, some guidance and stuff like that. And even in certain cases, I also worked on the website design as well, even though that was not within my jurisdiction as a product designer. But I could also help with those things. So those things help you stand out. Those are extra things that help you stand out. If, for example, as a UI designer, I also have some basic coding knowledge. I took some HTML and CSS, lessons before. So it also helps me when I collaborate with developers. So when the developer says, this one might not be possible because of this, I'm like, nah, this is possible. Do you understand? Because this, and this. You get me? This is how this interaction should work. This is how this should work. And so those things actually help you stand out. So if you can afford to do those things, particularly because of where you are, Nigeria, please, by all means, learn other stuff aside UI UX. But don't forget your primary thing is UI UX. So don't now go and waste your time learning other skills when the primary skill that you actually need to learn, you're not good at it. Do you understand me? But other art skills are good to have as well. So yeah. What do you think a junior designer needs to build their personal brand? Well, personal brand. See, when people say personal brand, because branding today means a lot of things. The honest truth is everybody has a personal brand. Everybody does. I have your brand is simply what comes to mind when people see you. That's simply your personal brand. Your IG is your personal brand. Your Instagram, when I go to your Instagram and I see, I see pictures of you, that's your personal brand. When I go to your Twitter and I see your tweets, that's your personal brand. But if you mean in terms of intentionally curating a kind of brand, it's okay if you want to do that. Maybe you want to document your growth. I believe everybody, forget whether junior or senior designer or whatever, I believe everybody should be intentional about their personal brand. I have a particular brand. If you check me on Instagram, there's possibly an ideology of me you're going to have. If you see my Instagram, for example, you probably would think I'm a church guy. You probably not even know that I probably do anything work at all. Do you understand? If you check my Instagram, all right. If you check my Twitter, you probably would have a mix of both of them, all right. So I believe that you just generally be intentional about your personal brand, whether as a junior, senior, whatever designer, all right. Now, if you now want to build a brand around your career, I think as a junior designer, it's fine to document your growth. Because as a junior person, you might probably not be in the best position. And me, I always like to be honest with myself. You might probably find junior designers who are doing master classes. I mean, if you like, you get if you want. But I just think if you're being honest with yourself, you should be able to tell yourself, I'm not in the best position to provide value right now in terms of master classes. Maybe the best value I can provide right now is documenting my growth so that any other junior designer who is coming behind can also follow the processes I went through, avoid the mistakes I also went through, and then they can learn from it. Maybe in that particular scenario, building a personal brand around you being a junior designer is fine. Do you understand? And also because you're going to grow over time, and then as you grow over time, people will also see that career path, and then they would also follow it. So that's really what I think in terms of building a personal brand. All right. Then what hard skills would you recommend? Hard skills, aside design, I think generally just learn design. Aside just UI UX design, learn other types of design. Learn logo design, learn flyer design. Just learn how to design things. Do you understand? Learn how to make things look good. I believe that one of the reasons why a lot of people struggle with UI designs is because there were no graphic designers beforehand. Do you understand? I think that's one of the major reasons why people struggle a lot with UI designs. All right. So learn design. Just learn design. That is very helpful. Learn design. It will help you. All right. Then, of course, you're going to be collaborating with people. That's the one thing as a product designer. So know a little about a lot of things. Know a little bit about coding. Do you understand? Maybe not something extra, but at least know the language that your developers are working with, particularly your front-end guys. If they say they are using Angular, for example, go and check online for Angular components. The components that can work, the components that cannot work on Angular. Do you understand me? If they say they want to use a particular, what do you call it now? Maybe a particular thing online that they don't want to create custom CSS components, that they want to use components from a particular language, maybe Vue, Beautify, so on and so forth. Go and learn about those components so that you collaborate better. Do you understand? These are things that will help you. All right. Learn also a bit about maybe product management, things that make your product manager's life easier. Learn about the business of design. Now, this is also very important. I'm so sorry that I forgot to add this. Learn that design is involved in business. See, you're a designer. All right. But at the end of the day, nobody hires a designer just because they feel like hiring a designer. They hire designers because they want their products to be good enough so that people can use it and they can make money. So see, learn to talk in terms of money. Money runs businesses. Do you understand? Let your employer see your use within the context of money. This thing is very important. Don't just, because a lot of times when you find designers talking to, see, when you're among other designers, then you can be talking about Figma, auto layouts, variables, UX research, case studies, etc., etc. Among designers who hail you, Omo, na boss you be. But see, if you can't say, if you are discussing all these design jargons to your CEO, he doesn't care. And to be honest, he doesn't have to care, because your CEO just wants to make money. You are hired to build a good product so that they can make money. Do you get me? So it's nice that you are, you know all of those things, but learn to talk in terms of money. Learn to talk in terms of your impact. Learn to try to find out what impact your solution is making in the market. All right, how impactful you are as a product designer to that solution, and learn to, stand on that. Particularly when you are trying to negotiate, for example, a better pay. If you can say, oh, because of my impact so far, this and this and this are the things that this product has been able to do over time, and this is the way, I've been very impactful in that. It helps your manager see your use, so that if you are asking for something, they know you deserve it, and so they are scared of you leaving. Is necessary. All right. So I think that's very helpful to learn. I just said designing. Okay, there's a question here.
Yeah, after this question, I think that would be the question.
All right. I just said designing using Figma. Is there a particular font size to use when designing, or you just choose font size? This one is like more about UI designs, and I'm sorry, but I can't really help for this one. I'll just say do research on the best fonts that's to be used. There's no single fonts to use. Just do research. That's it.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Israel. It was so nice having you today, and we did learn a lot. It was nice to hear from your view, your perspective. Thank you so much. Just maybe someday we would have you again. Benedicta.
I'm actually even seeing some questions on this thing.
We'll have you again. We'll have you maybe for a Twitter space, if you don't mind. We can work with your schedule, right?
No problem. We can make something work.
Yeah. So, Benedicta, please, you have just 1 minute. And I hope it's not a question, though. She's saying something.
A question is actually on the comments.
Okay. How do you stay motivated and inspired as a designer? What strategies do you use to overcome creative blocks or burnout?
Sapa. See, my guy, if you don't want to go hungry, you will walk. So that's it. But to be fair, how do I stay motivated and inspired? I keep the overall picture in mind. All right. Personally, I don't think I love design. I just think I love to make impacts. I love to build impactful products. It's one of the reasons I usually say I might not even be doing design in the next 5 years. I might not. I don't know. But one thing is sure, that I will be doing something that has to do with building something impactful. All right. And so when I keep that, that big picture in mind, it makes it easier to move through the very tough times. Do you understand me? Because I feel like it's worth it. There's nothing as hard as going through tough time for something you think doesn't matter. You just be struggling. You understand? But if there's a big picture and even if your big picture is money, it's totally worth it. Just put, maybe you have a dream car. Maybe it's a Rolls Royce. Just put a picture of a Rolls Royce, on your left. And so whenever you're walking and you're not feeling like this, you just look at it again. As you see the Rolls Royce, say, yeah. I need to make money. I get back to it. So whatever the images on the long run for you, always keep that in mind. All right. And then in terms of creative block and burnout, see, rest. That's the major thing that I do. I don't joke with rest, and I do a lot of things. So I don't joke with rest. I do my best possible to ensure at least most of the time I try to have at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. I don't negotiate it. All right. Unless when there's something up and maybe I have a very short timeline. But if not, I do my best possible to ensure that I rest well. You'll be shocked that most of the time that's what you need. All right. And then, of course, look around for inspiration. See, there's creative block. Get off your screen, walk around, do stuff, get a hobby. That's very important, actually. Get a hobby, do something, just something to bring out your creative side, and then get back to work. That's what I think would help. That's it.
All right, then. Thank you. And just to add again, it's good that you have a close community of designers like yourself. So when you are going through stuff, you can just easily draw, and then maybe, they can motivate you. Thank you so much. And then for the gift that I mentioned, Israel,
Yeah.
We're good now. You can leave or you can decide to stay. But meanwhile, for a few people, we have something for you. If you are looking to start, so you must have heard some of the things that Israel said, and I'm trying to share my screen. All right. So you must have heard some things that Israel said, and you're wondering, so where do I go to learn all of these things? How do I even get started? Our advice for you is to enroll for any training institution that is certified and can take you through becoming a UI UX design person or upskilling if you are looking to transition as well. Ensure that training that you currently are going through as professionals, people that have gone through this work, they've done it, they have experience, they understand the principles, they've tried on their own, and then they've seen certain errors. I'm sure if we asked Israel how he started, he would say something about trying different things and seeing what worked. He had to do a lot of mistakes and he has learned from those mistakes. You as a beginner or you that you're currently in this, you need to, if there's a way to not go over all of that journey, then you need to look for a training body that would give you all of these things, a mentor as well, course mates for peer learning, understand what is currently working in your industry, what trends, what are the things that are going on now currently, and get a certificate. If there's one thing I always say, certifications is as good as your portfolio as well. You need to be able to, from your CV, just looking at it, I should be able to know that okay, you've done this and this, and it's just not about taking all of these courses, ensuring that they align with what you currently are looking to upskilling. That's I like something Israel mentioned about looking at some of the things that you think you need to upskill or double up on or learn, right? And when you're learning, it should be tailored towards that. I'm sure now you are wondering, so which training course should I go for? Which one should I do? What we do, we currently have a UI UX design mastery course, and it's for 6 weeks, 100% virtual. Saturday live classes, and your Saturday live classes, you have at least it's between 2 hours, but a minimum of 90 minutes. And at the end of the day, you get a certificate that is recognized everywhere. Some of the things that you will learn um, are UI UX design tools, Figma, and then the likes. I did mention all, understanding the principle and practices of UI UX, creating wireframes, mockups, prototype, and understanding user research. Our current cohorts are just graduating. I think 2 weeks in, it is amazing to see people that do not have any experience at all designing, trying their hands on creating something. Now, not everything, we had some that were really nice, but not everything was, as great as it should be. But I think this weekend it would be their last class, and some of their designs, I've seen it grow from what they just started with and where they are currently. So these are some of the things that you need to look out for. Some of our curriculum also include introduction to user research, learning how to work with other designers, developers, stakeholders, basically bringing your design to life, A/B testing as well. And this is not for you actually if you are very lazy, if you are not looking to upskill currently, and you're not looking to follow instructions. I've basically mentioned some of the things that you would learn or some of the things that you are required to learn. There are people where you design, you show your instructor and it's giving you feedback. If you're not the type to go through all of that and dedicate time into doing this, then taking our course or taking any course rather to upskill is not for you. If you also are taking food off your table, that means you are very comfortable with what you are currently doing now and you do not see the need to upskill, or if you are just comfortable with not improving as a person, then I would strongly advise that you don't waste money taking courses. Again, these are some of the things you will learn when you sign up for our course. Now, the value for this is basically 400,000. This is not me saying that our courses cost 400,000 naira, but from all of these things, learning out icons, color, design patterns come into play to create a good product designs. Some courses would go as much as 400,000 naira, but I'm not saying that this is what you actually need to pay, right? The bonuses from this is that you also get mentorship. When you take our course, you don't just leave afterwards. There's a community where you can still do your designs, get feedback from people, get feedback from your course instructor, get opportunities and get to meet people. We do internship placements for people that promising students, people that did so well. So we attach you afterwards to a company and then you intern. Meanwhile, not everybody would get to have that opportunity. So what we do is we share job opportunities with you as well. You also learn how to build your portfolio. Check it out. Drop it there. What's your thought on this? What can I do better with this? Right? All if we were to value this, we would rather go for 400K. I'm not going to say we should pay 400K. And let's make it for almost that 250K. No, we are not to pay 250K actually. Then let's say 60% or 70% of that, 150K. That's still not the price to take all of these things. You only have to pay 80,000 naira for all of these things, 6 weeks of online training, 100% virtual plus Saturday live classes. So it's a 6 weeks class like starting July 24th. July 24th, you basically learn what UI UX design is, what is a day in the life of a UI UX designer, how to even become one, introduction to UI UX design, what you should know and what it is not. July 31st would look into research, UX research, introduction to competitors research, user persona, user profile, wireframing, user testing, usability tests. August 7, you'll be looking at UI principles, typography, icons, color, design patterns. August 14th, you will be introduced to Figma from basic to advanced, auto layout, all of those things that are required, and even other design tools that you need to work with. Then on the 28th, you're taught on how to build your portfolio, how to optimize your CV. If you've not even created one, you're taught on how to do that. How do you go about getting your first job? How do you go about interning? Tips on freelancing for designers, mistakes that you should take note of, and how to better position yourself for these things. Now, some people would ask, as soon as I'm done taking these courses, do I get a job? And it depends. I've seen people that, okay, I recently transitioned, and within 3 months of me transitioning, I got a job. As soon as I was done with my course, I wasn't even done when I think I got about 2 offers. And I had to go with the one that aligns with what I currently stand with, right? Same thing with our ex-students. We currently have people that work with foreign clients, but it didn't just start within 3 months. Some people had to intern. Some people were lucky to get a junior role because they are that good. Some people needed to volunteer and then needed to grow. I've seen people, trajectory of people's career from between 3 to 6 months grow. And I've seen people a year into these things, they've watched all the YouTube videos that they can see, they've taken free courses, and still it's not growing, it's not just working, they've not gotten something yet. So basically what works is commitment and your dedication to keep learning. And with Jupiter Academy, it's a bit lucky for, I don't know, I don't want to say lucky, but I've seen where you have a community of people and you keep interacting with these people. You keep sharing your designs. You keep trying to improve. You are learning from each other. You are learning from your instructors again. So when you think of this thing, we are thinking LMS, a learning management system where you are logged in and you have lifetime access to it. You are thinking workshops, you are thinking projects. You're thinking peer-to-peer learning, and you should also be ready for assignments, even when they don't give you tasks. You take a course, try to practice, even if it's not so nice, put it out there, right? People would correct, especially for the instructor. I think the one was very impressive, or one person stood out for me. 2 weeks into it, without the normal assignments they gave them, he just kept designing something. They would correct, he would go back, do it again. He was always consistent with getting people's feedback as to how he's currently doing, right? So August 21st, you design a project and you present it. All of this for 80,000 naira. But there's more for everybody that is on this call. Aside the 80,000 naira, there's a 20,000 naira discount for people that are looking to enroll for this course right now. If you are here, my colleague rather will drop a link for you to ask questions. You want to find out more about what I'm saying. I'm happy to take your questions. If you're on the call, you currently have a 20% discount. That's a 20,000 naira discount now, and it's valid till July 22nd. But if you have an issue with that, you can always, drop me a comment or fill up the form, and definitely would reach out to you. So in all of these things, you just get to pay 60,000 naira. Ideally, to learn a course or learn a UI UX design course should be at most 200 or 150. But for this, with 60,000 naira, learn how to use Figma, understand the principles and practice of user interface, create wireframes, design a project, do your user research and testing, learn how to work with others, also have introduction to you. You also get to know how to use icons, color, patterns, how they come together, what colors to use, all of these things for 60,000 naira. So if you have any question regarding this, I'm happy to take any right now. And also you can fill out the form that my colleague just dropped in, and then let me know. Meanwhile, what we do, we understand that not everybody are currently able to afford a course, right? So our community where you currently are is a community that can give you free access to webinars, master classes, pending when you are able to get a course, right? So you're not just somewhere and saying, I want to learn this thing. You're not taking any action. So we currently do weekly webinars. We share blog posts. If you have designs as well, I'm sure some people have started something, right? If you have designs, if you want people to interact with your post, just drop it there. You never can tell who is on a call with you or who is in a group with you, right? So are there any questions, or would you like me to answer any question, right? I'll be happy to take any. If there are none, we can call it a day. And I'm on the group as well. You can drop me a message as well, right? So bye, everyone. Bye, Deborah.